Have you seen the new M4 already? And do you wish you hadn't? I mean, this is my question.
I've never been so conflicted to drive a car before, ever. I mean that.
M4. This is where Beaver Teef comes from. If you listen to our podcast, or you've ever heard anything close to it, we say Beaver Teef. That is not Beaver Teeth, because your teeth are so large you cannot say it correctly.
Right.
Beaver Teef.
Correct.
Right here. So we've got is this a Beamer with Beaver Teeth? No, Bimmer.
Don't overthink it.
That's too much.
Don't overthink
I can't do it. It hurts.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
The rest of the car is actually gorgeous. It's exquisite. Mm-hmm. Then when you come around to the front, you will understand why BMW engineers wanted cooling. That it's all about cooling. It's about cooling.
Tactfully
There's
put.
An upper radiator, upper temperature radiator, there's a lower temperature radiator. There's an oil cooler, and on the M4 competition model, there's a transmission oil cooler. There's all kinds of cooling. There's brake air ducts. We need cooling. I get it. Mm-hmm. However, I think the designers lost. I think, well, I still can't decide. I would have loved to be in on the team meetings where they decided and went with that, because I think the engineers would have been cool with whatever. We just need to cool this amount of airflow.
Sure, yeah.
We're good, guys.
Yeah.
Bring it. This car has the S58 3-liter inline 6. Mm-hmm. That is a derivation of the B58 3-liter in the Supra. Mm-hmm. For everybody who's into engine codes.
Oh yeah, that's a BMW thing. We got to know our engine codes. Yeah, I'm sure we got one wrong already.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure we did. Yeah.
That's exciting because this engine makes unbelievable amounts of power. 437, only 406 pound-feet of torque. Are you kidding me?
That's it's 473 horsepower, right?
Sorry, 473 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque.
That's a
it
lot.
goes up in the competition model. You get 70 more pound-feet of torque.
And 30 more horsepower. You break 500 horsepower.
Yeah.
But you cannot get it with a manual.
Can't get it with manual.
Competition is, and it's not a dual clutch anymore. It's just, now the ZF 8-speed's awesome, and BMW programs it well, but they program it so well, they just said, forget the dual clutch. So it's a ZF 8-speed in the competition only. There's more power, less manual gearing.
The good news is you can almost create your own competition version by virtue of all the packages that are offered. So you can almost get there, everything except for the horsepower and torque.
True.
So you can get the carbon ceramics, you can get all the executive package, you can get a brand new, newly introduced feature called M-Drive Professional. This car actually encourages hooliganery.
Try again.
This car actually encourages misbehaving.
Hooliganism is encouraged. You're right. Absolutely it is, yes.
It's like a little bit of telemetry with lap times, but it has a drift analyzer mode.
Yes. You know what? If we're all going to be crazy, let's control the crazy. That feels very German, doesn't it?
Feel German.
Let's judge the crazy. If we're going to go crazy, let's quantify our level of crazy. That's your BMW drift code. It's great, yeah.
They give you a score at the end after they measure your distance and your line and your angle of attack, and then they say, here's your score.
Yep.
Based on I don't know what.
What they decided to be the case.
Yeah, but that is pretty dang cool, I have to admit. But here's the deal. We got to talk about how the car drives, and that is with a lot of energy.
Yes.
The steering rack, we're told, has more closely spaced teeth the more you turn the wheel, which means it turns more sharply. So it's that variable ratio, but it turns more sharply the harder you turn over. And it sticks so hard by virtue of the adaptive dampers that it's astounding.
And Pilot Sport 4s. I mean, the rotation and the grip on this is staggering.
Yep, so you would think by the numbers, oh man, I'm down on power, I should only get the competition version because it's better. It's not better, it just has more horsepower.
Well,
but it's not better.
Disgruntled guy with a computer could crank up your boost anyway and give you the same as the competition horsepower.
True.
Let's be honest, it's a twin turbo straight 6. This can do more.
Turbo.
Yeah.
So I got in this car and I was shocked to find how well this hangs on, the mechanical grip, and how it composes itself, being, what, almost 3,900 pounds? Or is this 3,700?
This is 3,700 pounds. This is 37 right at with the,
Nevertheless, it almost doesn't matter what this car weighs because the people working in the M division of BMW They have it all figured out.
They're magicians. They really are.
They could make a house corner.
It seems like, well, we drove the X5M competition and said, how is this actually possible in the real world and not in some science fiction book? And those guys are now working with a car, which is better.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Well, this is one of those cars that people buy because it still offers that nice balance of long-distance cruising and trackability.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is that BMW, despite making this car bigger in every dimension...
Yes. They have improved it over the prior M4, which I wasn't a huge fan of drive-wise.
That's
this
astounding.
Is a nice improvement.
Yes. I can't believe how well this car corners, how well it hangs on. And then you combine that with the power. I'm over numbers. It really, I'm done with numbers.
You're right,
It doesn't tell you how it feels anymore. We all think it does, and it does not.
You're right.
There we go. They've added the shift assistant.
The shift assistant.
Would you like assistance with
because
your
the word
shift?
rev matches, that doesn't work for what we're really doing here.
The
We're
gear
assisting the shift. Yes,
The
shift
good news.
assistant, drift coach. You've got a whole like executive crew behind you on this car, yeah.
You do. But what I love is that you can turn it off, and it still doesn't turn it into a car that's difficult to drive.
True.
It's helpful for the track, but what that does is actually make it decent for the track, so you can take it there without fear. You're not going to be down on, corners.
True.
Due to all your PDK owning friends.
Your 3,700-pound BMW with super sticky tires is going to go through some consumables.
Yeah.
But you're going to love your time.
That's the thing with the drift mode.
Yes.
You're drifting all the time, and you're going to look at your score, which I think this is a little bit of a devious thing on BMW's part. You're going to look at your score and think, I could do better. Yeah, it's okay. I got a 4 out of 5 stars, and my line wasn't quite right. Let's go again.
The drift coach should have an ad in the corner for a tire maker. Really? Should just be
tires.
Sponsored by Michelin.
Amazon.
Yes.
Add tires to my cart.
While
While
you're drifting. That's pretty much the case. Sponsored by Michelin. We can get a discount. It's crazy.
Whenever we stop, we have to talk about styling. We have to talk about...
Do we? On this one, can we skip styling? Can we just go, there's the front end, and then just kindly move on?
I guess so. Kindly? No, I will not go quietly into the night. I will go down fighting. This is wrong. This is an affront to car designers everywhere. And just because you wanted a bigger front end, BMW, this is not the solution. I understand the cooling, the balance. You wanted something different, a new look. You've gotten everybody talking about it, us included.
That is the thing. They're excited at this point because everybody's talking about it.
Yeah. But was that the right solution?
But you're right. The consensus seems to be, what have you done?
Yeah.
For sure.
But it's so good to be in the driver's seat. It's so good. It's so much fun.
I want to go over there and talk about it further, but we're in the same category as the first generation Porsche Panamera, where once you start driving it, you start to think, how much does ugly bother me? Tell me I'm wrong. That happened with the first gen Panamera, and now the Panamera got to where it actually is kind of good looking.
On the scale of 1 to 10, how much does ugly really bother me?
Granted, this is also $100,000, so think about it this way. You spend $100,000 on something unattractive.
Panameras were expensive too when they first came out.
That's hard to justify. Once they became cheap used bargains, like I could deal with ugly, but at $100,000 and it's hard to look at, that's tough.
I have come full circle on the interior. I didn't like, I wanted more of a progressive interior from BMW on the next generation of cars, because you'll see that in, of course, every BMW. It's usually the 3 Series that starts things off, and the shapes were a little much for me to start with, but I've really come around and I like it. I like that BMW isn't dominating the whole interior with a screen and going that direction. There's still materials and how things are put together. The craftsmanship is still very evident, and I do like the design. I've come around, so I haven't lived with it as much as the designers lived with it in the studio before it came out, so I've definitely come around now, and I like the materials. I like the construction. It does feel like $100,000 in here.
The materials feel very high end. It's absolutely a premium interior, and everything you look at and everything you touch. It is quite orange, which is a bit of a question mark. You can also get this in, have you seen the one that is the neon yellow and really bright blue combined?
With the Teef.
It's a choice. Not sure it's the right choice, but somebody made a choice.
All right, well, sit here. At least we have fun.
I got to drive now, huh? Well, driving's better than looking at it.
It is. I mean, if you opened up a new BMW repair shop as an independent business, could you just call yourself a dentist now?
BMW, dentistry and tires.
Helping you out. We're here to help. Come on. I like that there's engagement with the shifter. It used to be just the BMW.
What can I help you with?
I don't need any help. Actually, you know what you can do is change the front end. That's what you can do. Can we do that? Can we upload that to the internet? No? Okay. I like there's engagement. Mm-hmm. It's not just the typical BMW rubbery shifter. I mean, it's there.
I don't know that I agree with you there.
There's more than, we'll say, the M2 competition or the M2. I think there's more mechanical feel to it.
Okay.
But small amounts. Small amounts.
All right. I'll give you that, I guess.
Small amounts.
But this is still in the line of what BMW's done forever, and they have a feel to their shifters, and that goes all the way back to the Z4 that I own, and all the BMWs. We drove all of the M3s for our
instantly get in like, oh, that's a BMW shifter.
Seriously, they have a consistent and reliable but slightly rubbery feel. Yeah. And it's like a trademark feel to their shifters, and I prefer ones that are a little less rubbery than the way BMW sets them up.
I like a mechanical feel too.
Having said that, it works very well, and it is great to have the engagement of a 6-speed, and I cannot argue that at all. Yeah. It is wonderful. What's funny is this car is so advanced that I almost feel like it lends itself to an automatic or a dual clutch. I mean, I like having a manual.
I was going to say.
I do, but my issue with this car is, like you, I'm conflicted. And I don't actually mean the styling versus the driving, because that is like a schizophrenic. They're so different. I can't believe climbing in this, how great it is to drive after how painful it is to look at. That is one of the most divergent things I've ever found in a car. In spite of that, the thing that's tough for me is, as I drive this, I'm amazed by it. I'm impressed by how well it drives. I can't believe something this big, this heavy, and this technologically advanced drives this well. Yeah. But then I realize that's hitting all the same buttons in my brain that I feel when I drive the Nissan GTR.
Okay, fair.
We're getting to a place with lots of modern cars. Porsches have done this, others have done this, where you get some cars that are so capable that I start to feel irrelevant as a driver. And I think the ability to drive fast in this is limited entirely to just put a body in the seat. I mean, granted, not everybody can drive a stick shift, but just put a body in the seat. It is defying all physics and reason. And so it can drive fast and surprise you and impress you no matter who you are. And I guess I find myself ultimately much more impressed than I am in love.
Fair enough. I hear you on the Nissan GTR, which leaves me cold completely. It's amazingly impressive. But this I've found to have a little bit more driver engagement, and I hope that by virtue of continuing to push on technology that makes cars better and better, manufacturers will still pull that back to some kind of involvement and actually go the other way. That's a tough balance, because involvement just used to be, well, this is the materials we built the car with.
This is all it does.
We didn't even think about that.
You're right.
This is just how we put together, and you're feeling the linkage. That's all we know how to do, and that's what everybody's fallen in love with. We're not going back to that.
Nope.
And the cars that we love, it's okay to own those. They won't be nearly as capable as these cars. But I'm hoping, and I'm starting to feel the slightest amount of little bit more driver involvement, as if BMW said, okay, we need to have some more feel to the driving experience. It's amazed. Not a lot.
True. I am amazed that it handles better than the last M4.
Yes.
And I do think that's an interesting shift. I feel like BMW is trying to figure out what their electric steering should be like. And unfortunately, this still really doesn't have information. It just has weight.
It has no information.
It just has weight.
It has precision, though.
It's very precise. That is the key thing. I feel like everything about this car is more precise and more powerful and capable than you expect when you first sit in and start the engine. But I want to feel more vital than I do. And that's a weird thing to say, because I think if most people drove this car, you would be simply amazed by it. I think it really is one of those cars that as you drive it, you just go, how is this possible? It has that level of performance. I personally want to feel like I must have one, and I feel like, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed, but I don't need one. And at $100,000, I will buy something else.
I mean, at that price level, it has to have that kind of performance to justify the price.
Yes, but I would spend less and get more, I feel like, but that's just me. It is not slow.
It's not slow. It's just
Those
time
are
to enjoy the power.
Big numbers.
Braking. Ooh, carbon ceramics.
Yep.
That's why they were invented.
I guess. Don't want to replace those. You'll terrify yourself. If you're going to track it, don't get the carbon ceramics. I'm just going to say, get normal, good old iron brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is unbelievably impressive. The best part about it is when you get to sit in it or drive it and you don't have to look at it.
I agree. Leave the looking at to everybody else because none of us want to enjoy it. I saw this at one point in the rearview mirror. It was bothersome.
Oh yeah.
To look up in a rearview mirror and
yeah.
see this nose coming at me, that's not good.
Shove the ugly in everybody else's rearview mirror.
I guess the only good news is people might get out of your way because they just don't want to look at that anymore.
That's
and
just
it's a very attractive car from every other angle. And every time the nose comes around, you just kind of go, what happened there? And then you drive it and you just go, how is that ugly that good to drive?
It's that good to drive, yeah.
Man.
I agree with you. I want some more feel to the entire driving experience, but I think it would come off as feeling cheaper than it does.
Interesting. Okay. Because you're right.
This has a certain price point.
This has a very premium driving feel, even though it's not a level of involvement that I go after. I do take that point.
I think,
maybe I just have cheap sensibility. Maybe that's me.
Not necessarily, but
might be.
I think it's going to be difficult to continue to push a premium car and a premium driving experience with a lot more driver involvement.
I
think that's where the future holy grail is, but I see this as a first step if it didn't have the snout.